Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Tittle Tattle Tarot. It's Georgie. And on the table today, I have a photograph of the wonderful character actress, Miriam Margolyes. Now, do you remember her? She's been in all sorts of things. Absolutely wonderful actress. Very, very funny lady. I've just been looking at her biography, her autobiography, and it's called This Much Is True. And she has some amazing, funny tales in it about her life in the theatre, in films. And this wonderful woman, she comes across so beautifully in this book. But there's a tale that she tells, and I don't doubt that it's true, about her in the 1960s. Very clever woman. She went to Cambridge, and Cambridge was very famous for the Footlights, and it's where a lot of very famous people came up through the Footlights. People like John Cleese and Graham Chapman. And these are the two men that we're going to talk about in this reading. Apparently, they were very unpleasant to her, which is quite shocking and sad, really, because who doesn't love Monty Python, and who doesn't love the body of work that John Cleese and Graham Chapman, have done? They've done so much good work. I mean, Graham Chapman's now dead, and John Cleese is in his 80s. So, they were different times. These young men, they were in this, in their 20s at Cambridge, but they gave Miriam Margolyes a very hard time. And I want to do a Celtic cross and see what the problem was. So John Cleese, wonderful, talented man, John Cleese and Graham Chapman went on to do Monty Python, but did so much. And she was one of their contemporaries, and they were all part of the Footlights, but they were very unkind to her. So I would just like to do a Celtic cross now and just see what energy we can pull regarding those times at Cambridge University back in the 1960s. So let's get rid of lovely Miriam here. Let's get rid of her. And we'll just dedicate this to Miriam. And we're going to do this from Miriam's point of view about being surrounded by these men in the Footlights and how she was treated. So let's do this from Miriam's perspective and the adversity that she faced. So let's go. I'll pull the whole cross. I'll pull the whole cross, and then we'll discuss each position. Okay. All right. So back in the 1960s, Miriam Margolyes, she's at Cambridge. Very clever lady. You've got to be clever to get into Cambridge. So there she is. She's in Cambridge, and she's part of the Footlights, their dramatic group. Very famous people have been part of this. And while she was there were the members of the Monty Pythons coming through, probably David Frost, I would imagine, other people of that kind of era. But she had specifically problems with John Cleese and Graham Chapman. So here she is, the hanged man, the hanged woman. This is very much very unsure about yourself. She's had to put herself in a detached position. She's outside looking in. This is not a card where you're feeling part of a team. You're suspended. You're looking at things the wrong way up, or maybe the right way up. You're trying to gauge what on earth is going on, and you need to take a step back. You need to change your perspective, and this is what she did. And she took a step back. She wasn't in with the crowd. She stood on the outside, looked at it, and tried to fathom out how to be incorporated into this situation, how to be incorporated into the Footlights. So very much a detached position. It's not a welcomed position. And that is crossed by this Three of Pentacles in reverse. The Three of Pentacles is the teamwork. This would be the Footlights, all working together to produce whatever they were doing, whatever, I don't know particularly whether it would have been particularly comedy or what have you, but they were working together as characters, gelling together to produce something that, could be performed, things to take pride in. Look how this one is working on that one, and that one is working on this one. It's very much a circular thing. Everybody works together and it all gels. Well, we didn't have that. We've got this upside down. She never felt part of the team. She was on the outside looking in and was never made that sort of welcome part of the team. And I don't doubt her. She's a Queen of Swords. She's very, very good with her words, a very well-read woman, very literate, very well-spoken. And also, her book is called This Much Is True. And she said every tale in this book is true. And I totally believe her. And that is the way she's always been. And I believe that she was like that at the Footlights. If something was wrong, she would say, excuse me, and she would pull people up for it. And good on her for doing it. But that was the main focal point in her: truth and honesty and justice, doing the right thing. But at the bottom of everything, what was underneath it all, being stabbed in the back. So I kind of see this as like a boys' club. These men, and it was, I mean, there would have been a few women, but a very few women. It was a boys' club, basically. And here we are. She feels stabbed in the back. And I don't think it's feels. I think she was. I think that they saw her talent. And I think she was a threat to them in some way. She was a threat to them. And I don't think they knew how to handle her. And she always felt like there were snide judgments and stabs. And that was at the bottom of everything, that undermining of her talents. And, it put her wheel of fortune in reverse. I mean, you could tell with this woman, she was being interviewed about this particular thing, about being in the Footlights. It's still to this day, she's still very, emotional about it, that these men did not accept her, didn't welcome her. And that put, in the past, her wheel of fortune in reverse. I think it gave her a very bad introduction into acting, into, her craft. It wasn't the best introduction. That was in the past. And I think throughout, because we're looking at that moment in time, we're not looking at Miriam Margolyes now, we're looking at her when she was in, her 20s at Cambridge. So that's the period we're looking at. So we're saying in the future, but we just mean in the future at Cambridge. It was always like that. It was always this kind of, I always look at this as like the bully card, being bullied. I'll take this from you because I can, and I'll stick my tongue out at you, and I'll get one over on you, and I'll win. You won't get top billing. You won't get the praise that you deserve because I'm going to get that. You'll get a lesser part. That kind of energy there. So we're coming up the outside now. The Hierophant in reverse. Again, it's the Hierophant the right way up. It's very wise and it's very just. It's almost like a justice card. It's sort of, you have ethics, you have morals, you do the right thing. You go to the Hierophant and you listen to the Hierophant, and the Hierophant will say to you, this is the way it should be. And he's right, and he goes by the letter, he goes by the book. He'll say to you, well, you shouldn't be doing that because, and he'll give you a good reason why you shouldn't be doing it. He's very legally minded and has a very good sense of what is right, what is wrong, what is just, and, he obeys the rules. We've got this in reverse. She saw these people around her as not playing by the rules. They weren't being fair to her. They weren't being just. it was wrong. It was wrong what they were doing. And, you know, how did other people see it? Not necessarily people in the Footlights, maybe her friends around her that weren't involved in that. They saw that as, again, unfair. The Four of Wands, this is like your happy home, you know, your security. She's at university. This should be secure. She should feel safe and secure in the university, in the Footlights. And that would be this way up, you know, this pod, you could say, well, that's Cambridge, and it's, you know, four walls and it's all very solid. You know, the students there, everything's good, people trust each other. But, you know, her friends that maybe weren't in the Footlights, people that she studied with, they could see that she was being, having her foundations taken away from her, that it was making her feel unstable, that, you know, this treatment by this particular group, this Footlights group, was turning her stability on end, and that she didn't feel like she belonged. That's a feeling of not belonging to me, this card. So, what does the universe say? We've got the Six of Cups in reverse, Six of Cups upright. This is, you know, you look back on things and you say, oh, you know, well, that was really good. That was my childhood. That was my youth. Oh, wasn't it wonderful when I was at Cambridge? Wasn't it wonderful when I was in the Footlights? You know, we had such japes. We did this, we did that. The universe is saying that these experiences of looking back and it not being good, the experiences that she had there of not being accepted, they would be life lessons for her in the future. And the universe is saying, I believe, this is your way of learning, that, you know, you don't always get accepted, and how to deal with it. And, you know, she was at university for 4 years, I guess, 3 years, 4 years, and she was with the Footlights, and she managed to make it work. It wasn't harmonious, but she managed to work with it. And I think that's a very good life lesson. I think this is the universe's point here. You know, we don't always have the luxury of being accepted. We don't always have the luxury of everything working out and people loving us. And I think that she had to learn to negotiate, and it was a vital lesson for her. Although it was very painful, it was the universe's way of saying, this will toughen you. I think this will toughen you up. And then we have the 5, 6, 7, 8 of Wands, the Eights of Wands. You know, this is protecting yourself, and it made her a very strong woman. The Ace of Wands here, this is, you get beaten and you get battered, people say horrible things, people ignore you and push you out of a group, but you defend yourself with your wand and you say, well, you know, I feel battered and I feel very hurt by you, but I'm not going down onto my knees. I'm still standing, and this will make me stronger. And that's very much this outside influence here. It didn't kill her, it made her stronger. But I'm quite shocked that those two men, John Cleese and Graham Chapman, were so unpleasant. And I'm sure that if they met her now, they'd be mortified to know that, you know, they did that. If they remember, they probably don't even remember. Let's just have a little look. Let's go to the center. Of course, Graham Chapman, you know, with the greatest respect, Graham Chapman is no longer with us. But what about John Cleese? What would he say now? What would he say now? Would he be mortified? Let's just see what John Cleese would say about all of this. Yeah, I think the man that John Cleese was when he was in his 20s is not the man that he is now. Let's face it, none of us are. We all grow up. And I think that he would be quite horrified to know that he made her feel like this. This is the card of being blindfolded and feeling in a prison, very much a mental prison. So I think that he would be horrified that he couldn't have seen what was going on, that he was so blind to the fact that, you know, she felt so stabbed and not accepted. So, yeah, I think now maybe he's read her book, maybe he's seen her being interviewed about the Footlights. And yeah, I think John Cleese would be very repentant about, you know, how he was back then. But, you know, let's give everyone a pass, because none of us are what we were in our 20s. We all grow and we all mature. But how interesting about Miriam Margolyes and Cambridge and the experience that she had. But in fairness, it made her who she is. It made her a very feisty actress. And what a wonderful character actress she is indeed. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll be back again with something else very soon. You take care. Bye-bye.